Okay, what I want to do is, I've got young Hannah here, who's a student visiting London for the time being, and hopefully eventually getting around to explaining the sing thing, which has been around for over 10 years I think. So that's the idea of this. Hannah's agreed to join me, so we haven't warmed up or anything, because it can be used as a warm-up, and it can also be used rather more carefully, so we're going to do a bit of both. So Hannah's familiar with most of it actually. So if she were to begin warming up, I have it here, if she were to begin warming up, we would, you know this Hannah, don't you? So we're just going to play it, you've heard it many times. And we'll just
breathe in properly, keep it open and free.
That's not enough. So you're going to be there. So I'd say what that's about is the H's on the front to get the air going. We don't want to overblast things, but to get a ha, 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 a sense of that energy without ha being clumsy with it, because it's going to be too much. And I would say that what you had there, you've gone to a smaller place than I've seen you before. So your mouth was kind of like going ha, which is fine. What we're looking at is seeing if we can start to encourage a bit more ha, so that everything's just a little bit bigger, a little bit more open, and that becomes your kind of home, if you like. So if you ever got that, just there without this, just on that note. Good. Well, watch out for ha, any driving, so you have to get used to the balance, so that will happen. Watch out on the way down as well that you continue that energy through, because you can end up with ha, ha. So you feel that every one of them has a similar, has its own place, if you like. It's not being how, no, no. Just go from the beginning again, go through.
Breathe in properly, keep it open and free.
No. Release, breathe. Good. Palate up. So it's a nice, yeah, that sounds nice. Good. As we're getting higher, a bit more energy. Until you start to realise you're going to need to change.
Keep open.
There. Alright, so there, what you can do then is come out. So what Hannah did there is she went into a, I'm going to call a lower head voice. You could either keep working harder and keep it in chest if you wanted to practice that, but they're not really about that. These are very general, opening, neutral sort of exercises. So I'd say change as you did, but then you can practice ha, ha, coming out. You can manage that rather than just maybe having ha, just letting it happen. So you can get used to coming out halfway down. So you carry on to the end, so you're now in your lower head, and you're probably now a bit higher, you're probably going to stay in head voice all the way through on these. Whilst you're here, you could add some focus, which is a bit beyond this, but once you're used to it, you start to add things. So we could go from ha, maybe be fairly breathy and add a bit of ha, 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 ha. Once you're used to that, just to firm things up a bit. So we'll jump in wherever we are. That's it.
Keep it feeling
up. Good. More confused now. Keep the space. Think what we're doing.
And last one.
There we go. Bravo. So that's what the first one's about, really. I'd say all of these, really, when it comes to it, I describe it as having a white canvas. So in other words, what you're looking for is that openness, a white canvas, so you're not painting stuff on somebody else's painting. I don't know if that makes sense. But say if I wanted to sing, maybe if I had a voice like this, maybe I pull my tongue back so naturally I was like that. You hear some people talking like that. Or maybe they'd sing like that. So in other words, that isn't a white canvas, there's some tension in there. So when you want to then put things on, you're putting something on top of something. So If you then like to do that kind of singing, and your tongue's already back, you've got like 2 lots of stuff going on. So this is really about noticing what your natural or habitual tendencies are, letting them go, and seeing what your instrument is like with everything taken out of the way of it, really. So you've got your guitar, and you put new strings on, you've adjusted the bridge, you've adjusted the neck, everything's fine, you strum it and the thing just goes, and then you think, I'm going to add my wah and distortion after that. Does that make sense, or is that too guitar-y? So that's that one. The next one is very similar. It's got 3 onsets, so you know it's going to be like ha, 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 ha. So then you stand up for that. So we're trying to let go in between ha, 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 ha. I'm not breathing in. Notice the tuning is not banging there. I can sort that out later. So I'm not breathing in. I'm not going ha, 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 but rather just letting go. Ha, 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 and then down the scale. So it's really seeing if you can do those 3 onsets, keep relaxed, and then when you go down the scale, that's still got the openness, that things don't start getting ha, 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 all tight. There's a bit of a bad edit here.
Let go in between each onset, feed the air through as you descend the scale.
Release, release, feed. Very good. Relax, breathe. Release, release, feed. Good, relax, neutral, breathe. Very good. Who's your teacher? There. Again, a little bit more energy if you want to stay in chest. Or go through his lower head. Space in the mouth, keep that. Good.
Keep it feeling free and easy.
Good.
Use more air.
Not if you're in head voice.
And last one.
Bit more palate right there. Good, nicely done. So, I wish I hadn't said use more air, but I have. That applies if you're a guy, because if you're going to ha, 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 then obviously you need more air. But if you're in your head voice, ha, ha, you put more air through, ha, ha, and you just blast everything apart, so it's a lighter place. So, again, it's you, with these simple exercises as they are, they're really about you noticing your balance. Oh yeah, when I'm in that place, I need this. Or I notice that. So they're very gentle in that way, but they're a good place to start, I feel. Let's look at my notes, see if there's anything here. What does it say? Airflow through, not at. So when you're thinking of the airflow, you're thinking through, not at this, and not too much. Palate up, I don't know if you all know what that means, but it's like it's different set, a little dangly bit at the back. The best way of getting it is to imagine as you breathe in, some height there. You can't control it like your finger, but you can have some influence over it. If the palate's down, you end up with a sound a bit like this. Ha, ha, ha. If I lift it, ha, 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 ha. You can almost hear there's more height. I actually dropped my jaw a bit there as well, which I shouldn't have done because that influenced the sound. Tongue relaxed, yours is good. No extremes, so these don't go too low, they don't go too high. Even and open is what you're looking for. New balance for each note, as you probably notice. Each note as it gets high, you need to rebalance. So it's just you becoming very familiar with that, so it's all second nature. Different vowels will change. Ooh, you haven't done that. Do 1 octave above. Aha. So, some people I realise that because these weren't really about that, but you can. Let's just see what happens with Hannah. If we start with the first one, we're going to go the octave above.
Let go in between each onset, feed the air through as you descend the scale.
There, yeah, I can't reach it, but you can. And go for it. Relax, lift the palate up and go. We'll stop after this one. Good. So that's not what they're originally about, but over the years I've realised that they could do with going higher. So simply do them the octave above. Don't strain at the top because they do go too high if you do them octave above. But you can do some of them at least as you did, the octave above. Use different vowels, I end up using R too much. The R is probably the easiest to get this kind of R space. So once you're familiar with the R space, I would say that you see if you can form the vowels around the R space. So in other words, instead instead of... So we're going to use different vowels. So once we've got our R, say if I went to an E, I could go like this, E, but I've lost the space. So for these exercises, seeing as you're looking for that openness, you try to make sure that the E, R, E, O, U, E, they all have a similar kind of characteristics to them. So they've got the same space rather than going U, U, simply because I found it's harder to be relaxed and open. So if you can master that, it's very easy to be small. So in the same way that if you do yoga or anything or any sort of meditative things, you know with your body, there are tensions. It can take you 5 minutes for your shoulders to fully sit if you habitually hold them, you haven't noticed and someone points it out, you think, and then 2 seconds later they're back up again. So I think it's easier if you've got this, if you want to be small, if you want to do things like that, that's where you sing. I can do that in a split second. The openness, I can't get in a split second. So if you can make the openness your home, everything's available to you. But if you're tight habitually, then everything isn't available to you. You're only available up to there. I think that's the first one done.